I'm sure all of us are familiar with what an animal shelter is. I'm sure that every time we're watching TV, a commercial about an animal shelter comes on, and we may instantly close our eyes, we may instantly get really sad. Images of dogs in cages, dogs shivering, dogs quaking will slowly appear across the screen. This is done to provoke our emotional arousal in us viewers. You may see these commercials, and these thoughts may instantly tend to go to the back of your mind because who really wants to focus on something that sad? But have you really ever sat down to think about this problem that is occurring in America today? My name is Avery Land, and I'm going to discuss the overpopulation of animal shelters in America, the mistreatment of animals in animal shelters, and what you and I can potentially do to prevent this crowding and mistreatment from recurring. I've decided to talk about this topic today because it is something that is very important in my life. I have 4 rescue dogs that I take care of on a daily myself, and I hope to have more in the near future. Within the next few minutes, I'm going to attempt to persuade you to take action immediately to help ensure the safety of animals in shelters. Now, to begin, first we will discuss the problem at stake. Some shelters are wonderful places, others happen to be hideous dumps. The treatment of animals' purposes and capacities vary greatly. They may be run by the government themselves, local humane societies, or private individuals. Because of severe space limitations, most shelters kill animals who are old, seriously ill, aggressive, and as well as those who remain unclaimed or unadopted after a number of days. This elimination, as I think it's appropriate to call it, occurs around 72 hours after the animal, usually a dog, arrives at the animal shelter. When animals must be killed, a painless intravenous injection of sodium should be administered by a gentle, caring staff member. For animals who may be smaller, a puncture wound in the stomach cavity injection may be acceptable. According to UC Davis Medicine Program, the average animal shelter can hold about 150 animals comfortably. On average, about 10 animals are brought into a shelter daily. This means in order to keep animals comfortable, fed well, and maintained properly, 10 animals must either be adopted from the shelter or eliminated each day. However, this does not usually occur. UC Davis Shelter Medicine Program also states that on average, each animal spends about 72 hours within these shelters, which means that 150 plus animals are being kept in these shelters, and these animals are being way too overcrowded. Animals do not often receive the proper amount of food that they should be receiving. If they're young puppies, they're also usually malnourished, and none of the animals are really receiving the love and care that they would receive if they were adopted and placed in a loving, caring home. So next I will be discussing why these animal shelters are so crowded. You may ask, why are so many animals coming into these animal shelters? Well, it's a common problem in America for people to adopt pets and then shortly after abandon them. This happens so frequently that you might even see these situations as the common plot or the main plot in a movie, a TV show, and I could go on. You may even hear about someone that you know having found a litter of kittens on the side of the road or a box of puppies at the local grocery store. A study by PETA shows that sometimes people surrender animals because they think it's the only possible solution. They may have too much on their plates, the animal may be too much to handle, they may be moving out of their house, the animal may have had children, and the owner does not want to be responsible for the mass amount of offspring. The list can go on and on and on. But behavioral problems are the most common reason why people give up their dogs and cats. Behavioral problems can be very serious, such as aggression or biting, but often there's smaller problems that are common in owning a dog and cat. These issues such as inappropriate elimination, destructiveness, barking or meowing, or not getting along with other animals in the household. ASPCA.org estimates that the number of dogs and cats entering U.S. shelters has averaged to about 7.5 million a year in 2011, meaning over 19,000 cats and dogs are admitted into animal shelters every single day found from abandonment. ASPCA.org also estimates that an average of 1.5 million shelter animals are being eliminated each year, meaning over 4,000 animals are eliminated each day. These are very serious numbers if you do think about them in the grand aspect of things, and it's kind of difficult and sad to talk about. But what can you and I do to help solve these problems? Now I'll be discussing the answer to this question. Many shelters are in serious need of reform. Citizen involvement is essential if this progress is going to be made in the system. You can be successful by organizing friends, neighbors, and other concerned individuals to take action now. The first thing that you can do is adopt a pet, of course. You will end up ultimately saving the life of an animal. If you adopt a pet, you can also avoid the hassle of having to house train, especially if you adopt a pet that has already been with the family or that is way older. You'll save money because adoption costs way less than buying an animal from a store. You'll save money on shots, process fees. You won't have to buy a bunch of stuff that you would probably have to buy if you adopted from a store. And lastly, when you go to an animal shelter, there's a huge variety of dogs to choose from. So it might also not be ideal for every family member to adopt a pet, and that's okay. There's things that you can do as well. You can volunteer at your local animal shelter. You can help these animals receive the best care while they can. You can also donate to your local animal shelter. Although it may not be a lot, you'll probably see advertised on commercials that you send in like 40 cents a week. These small amounts can go actually a very long way. And lastly, what you can do is spread the word, you know? Others that you know may be interested in adopting, volunteering, or donating, and it would be beneficial if you let them know that this is a viable option and that they can help prevent these common problems that we're facing. So in conclusion, the amount of overpopulation and mistreatment of animals in animal shelters is a growing problem in America that is caused by the mass numbers of abandonment situations. Although it may be something sensitive to many and it may be difficult for you to discuss, there are many things that you and I can do to help solve these problems, such as adopting, volunteering, and donating, and lastly, spreading the word. And as animal enthusiast Steve Irwin once said, if we save our wildlife, we will ultimately save ourselves. So act now within the preservation of innocent lives, and let's work together to try to eliminate this growing problem. Thank you.